First of all, to start with what NFTs are, as probably many of you already know, they are non-fungible tokens, and technically they are exactly that, meaning tokens on the blockchain that are uniquely identifiable and not interchangeable. So a blockchain for the first time enables digital scarcity and ownership in the digital world. So while cryptocurrencies like the fungible tokens are about putting in natively digital things like money, financial assets, and so on, NFTs allow to put things that are one of a kind, like digital property, like, for example, real estate, and all the examples that the guys already have mentioned, such as music, tickets, digital items from a video game. Their benefits are huge. First of all, for their creators, they allow them to monetize their content and engage their communities without intermediaries, and in a way that the communities do the marketing for them, essentially. They are essentially becoming ambassadors for the creators and for themselves. And for the buyer of the NFT, they provide, first of all, sentimental value of owning a collectible, then return on investment sometimes, as they might be able to sell them later at a higher value. And especially this rewards early discovery of really great communities and great content. And the thing that I think is most important is the flexing part, like the thing that they can show off in their social media. And I think we're just starting to tap on that, because this is what's coming now with the mixture of NFTs and social. So it started with Twitter allowing people to put their profile picture as an NFT, and it shows that it's an NFT. This way they can show off their taste and even their wealth sometimes, which is something that people do. And beyond these benefits as collectibles, they have a benefit that they can include utility. So they could actually provide things in the real world, like access to events, to digital or physical, discounts of products, and access to special content and anything you can imagine. So yeah, I think that's a summary from my side.
Yeah, I mean, where do you think we're at right now in terms of the NFT life cycle, and what are those on-ramps that are going to be necessary to get people from Web 2 to Web 3?
I would also like to kind of recap what the previous speaker said, and just to emphasize how we as ComeTogether address some of these challenges. First of all, challenges vary from regulatory perspective. You have to be careful, but this is solvable. Then there are challenges in terms of consumer adoption of these things. So currently, most public blockchains are not addressing a mainstream audience, but rather a crypto native one. So that's why we have implemented a different blockchain approach, where we are essentially custodians of the NFTs, like an exchange, like a centralized exchange, for example, with crypto. So we do custody of the NFTs. We issue them on our own network. It's a NEOS.io network. And this removes gas fees as well. And also allows for very fast transactions. And also we have payments with fiat currency like euros and so on. So at least we remove this burden, but then we allow the users to start their journey with those NFTs. But later on, or if they are experienced even from the beginning, they can withdraw these NFTs and mint them into a public blockchain like Ethereum. And later we want to add more like Solana, so that it will be their choice. And they connect the MetaMask and withdraw those NFTs if they choose. So we kind of think that we provide best of both worlds. This way, at least these companies that we are also forming partnerships with do not have to educate their users. At least they have to educate them only for the business value of the NFTs and not for the technical challenges of it. Apart from that, I told you the regulatory issues are mostly solved. It just requires some scrutiny there to be careful.
And what in the venture capital space, for example, exists is whether if you invest in NFT company, this relates or this is somehow in a conflict with the ESG policy of your LPs, let's say. This is something that relates to the climate change and all of these topics that are really important nowadays.
I just wanted to comment on a previous comment from Veselina about the environment, because I think that there is some confusion around it because essentially there are proof of work blockchains like Bitcoin and what Ethereum mostly is today, which do consume a lot of energy. But essentially, NFTs are not issued in Bitcoin. They are issued in Ethereum, but Ethereum is moving away from this protocol. And other protocols are even less consuming than that. And we have to put this energy consumption into perspective as well. It's not the best thing to reduce consumption. It's the best approach is to enhance the production, like to manage to get more production from renewable sources. Because technology always requires some amount of energy. And for example, the NFTs enable digital property. We don't think so much about energy when we do physical property. There is also energy wasted. So everything that we do does have a cost. Nothing is for free. But we need to weigh the costs with the benefits and put the effort in the production side of the energy. Of course, limiting the unnecessary consumption, but not all. Most of the consumption, I don't think is unnecessary.
Yeah, absolutely agree, and I think that there should be more awareness around this topic.
So, for anybody out there in the audience that's just trying to learn about NFTs for the first time, what do you recommend on how to learn?
I think like the blockchain itself is decentralized. The knowledge for these topics is also decentralized. So. You kind of need to do your own research. Twitter is a great place to learn anything in regards to this, but there are many accounts that provide really bad knowledge, and there are really good ones. So how to separate which ones are good or bad, right? You have to get your hands dirty, I think. So you have to cross check from various sources. Some will seem trustworthy. Some others not, especially if you have some more experienced people in this space that have already done a few things. You can ask them to kind of be your mentors and guide you to specific sources and people that they follow. That's mostly, since you are in this panel, I think you are already in that road of doing your own research and discovering.
Yeah, I love it. So another question I have is, obviously you have the big Web 2 giants like Amazon and Netflix and Facebook and Google. And I'm kind of curious what you think, how are these companies going to evolve into Web 3? Are they going to survive this, or are there going to be new companies that are going to kind of like form from this that are going to become the new giants of industry?
I think they will. They are a bit too big to fail. So eventually they will, but they will have to adapt eventually. Like for example, if we look into the history, what happened with like Amazon disrupted the Walmart, but then Walmart also jumped online. So this is an example that I could see playing out. But some of them, as Meta, for example, does, they might even, it seems to do at least, has shown the signs, might even lead the way and become Web3 companies. So I think it will go both ways.
An element. I'm just sort of curious what the panelists think about the ability of NFTs to engage fans and build communities, because I think that's a very important part of NFTs. It's really you start to see all these new communities being formed right before your eyes, and I think it's going to change the way we interact as humans. So I'm very curious what the panelists think.
They essentially take this the engagement and the monetization element for communities to the next level, both of them. And it's bi-directional, like the creators can monetize their fan base, but also the fan base can monetize the fact that they are early adopters to this creator, because they can bet early on them. And then later when they become indeed big, they can reap the profits of this. And also they mix the marketing aspect inside the product. So if they give the content, their utility in the form of NFT, they make the owners of these NFTs and their fans, they make them as ambassadors and marketers, as at the same time users as well.
Each has. What do you see the biggest opportunities in the NFT and Web3 space in 2022 and beyond?
For beyond, I would say everything will essentially include some NFT element. For the 2022, to bring it to now, I think we are now starting to move beyond the JPEGs and into more sophisticated use cases. I think a huge one is utilities, like these fan club tokens, essentially for that we are also in this space for sports, for music, that allow for access to events, exclusive events, allow for discount to merchandise and any type of utility. So the utilities would be one. Music is one that's coming next with intellectual property and with fan club tokens and maybe crowdfunding. Then gaming is definitely one of the next, and charity, as we have already seen, and fundraising with Ukraine, for example. So yeah, I think these are already here, honestly, not just coming.
And where is the best place for people to learn more about what everybody's doing, either personally on social or their companies?
You can find us on ComeTogether.network. We are in the process of changing the site this week, so we will update it. And also on every social media, ComeTogether.network.